Welcome, everyone. Today, my group and I will be presenting our findings regarding the development of a state vaccination deployment system. Throughout the presentation, we will break down the methodology we implemented to both understand the problem and design a solution. Firstly, we began by breaking down the scenario to discern the objectives that would be needed to navigate to create a solution. We split these objectives into two main sections: deployment, which primarily accounted for the 3-day time cycle, and registration, which featured the fundamental features the system would need to work. This is reflected in the following: the federal health prioritization, customers being able to register for the rollout digitally. The application will allocate for tickets to be registered to patients within a 3-day time slot. These bookings will send the patients to appropriate vaccination points. Next, we developed a problem definition to succinctly encompass the given problem through the following. This state health department has to roll out a widespread vaccination program that will seamlessly distribute vaccinations to the public without wasting limited stock. This rollout will function in accordance with the current standards set by the Federal Prioritization Scheme and will distribute the vaccine to the population through a low barrier to access local vaccination centers.
My name is Qingchen Wang. I'm gonna talk about empathy map and the stakeholders. There is an empathy map for hospital staff. They are doctor, nurse, senior health worker. What do they need to do? They need vaccine injection order, inject vaccine to the people who book replacement COVID-19 vaccine, and provide vaccination certificate. What do they see? The vaccine may have medical risk. The stock of vaccine is not enough for everyone. Some people won't cooperate when getting vaccines. What do they say? The vaccine needs a large stock that enough to get everyone a shot. There are many vaccine suppliers, but who provide the safety COVID-19 vaccine is not enough. What do? They provide a vaccinated, collect vaccine injected people's data and provide them proofs, review the vaccine stock. What do they hear? The hospital staff are at risk of infection COVID-19 when vaccine other people. The vaccine was always out of stock. The safety of COVID-19 vaccine without guarantee. If the whole vaccine system will fail to process vaccine order. What do they feel and think? Hence the infection risk, the amount of work, against the experience of during vaccination orders. The stakeholders are patients, hospital staff like doctor, nurse, senior health worker, suppliers like delivery, storage, warehouse manager, system developers, servers, state health department, federal health department.
We have deduced a few assumptions regarding the assignment description. The main assumptions include vaccine's shelf life, expected time before the vaccines will be used, accuracy of the stock control system, compliance with the rules of the vaccines, levels of access to Medicare database, population density factor, and the factor of transportation modes in different areas. From two of the most important stakeholders, we have developed journey maps to help us better understand what their user experience would be like in order to build our system. Our first stakeholder is a member of the public who is looking to use our system to get their dose of vaccination. The phases of their experience would be discover, where they would be finding out how to access the VMS system, registration, which would be them registering for the vaccination with their personal information, And finally, action, which is physically going to the center with their ticket for the jab. The next journey map is for one of the employees of a vaccination center. The experience phases will be control, execution, and notification, in which the staff will be monitoring the storage, providing jabs to the registered individuals, and notifying the distribution center for refills. From the user experience of the two main stakeholders who interact most with our system, we have created a list of how might we's. This allowed us to brainstorm various solutions in order to answer the questions and develop our backlog. Some of the HMWs are how might the users utilize the registration system, how they might be assigned to a center, how might they be able to make changes to their ticket, how might the center limit the registration when needed. The list of HMWs has helped us in the design of our system in the form of the backlog for the functionalities that we believe should be implemented in our system. It has allowed us to visualize what our system would look like and build prototypes accordingly.
Hello everyone, this is Yanbo here, and I'm gonna present our group's prototype. Thank you. In order to design the system, our group made this use case diagram, and we realized three main system actors with the functions that they should follow. The activity diagram shows the applicationer's data flow and the decision that they made inside VSM system. The first part of the sequence diagram shows how applicationer process to book a COVID-19 vaccine. And beside this diagram, you can see the activities that the applicationer need to do. And after they do the first activity, how the data and information inflow between the whole system. The second part of the sequence diagram shows how doctor and nurse restock COVID-19 vaccines after they find out the vaccines out of the supply. And the diagram shows how information flows in the whole system. I have designed 4 system parts to achieve VMS system. The first part shows the application relationship, which involves the applicationer to input their personal information in, and also to check the qualification if the applicationer qualified to get this vaccine. The second part of the system shows how the information record the applicationer's data and provide feedback to the applicationers. The third part of the diagram shows once the applicationer has settled the COVID-19 vaccination order and how doctor and nurse receive the applications. The last part of the system shows how doctor and nurse fill in the resupply vaccination order to get the vaccination supplier to resupply the vaccines. The collaborative diagram beside shows how applications that cooperate together to generate the vaccine order for the applicationers. The last part of the system shows system functions that collaborate with doctors and nurses to achieve their vaccination jobs.
Issues will be tracked through a backlog which will be managed based on priority. The backlog will be continually updated as the project grows and the team understands the issues better. Each issue will be linked to a story card with all the relevant information to the issue. At the start of a new sprint, issues with the highest priority will be added to the sprint backlog. For our project, we will use Scrum to develop the system. Our project involved creating a product backlog made up of user stories as requirements for the project. We created a sprint plan from the product backlog by assigning the user stories in the product backlog into sprints. We also incorporated sprint review and sprint retrospective by retrieving feedback from the customer as well as the development team at the end of each iteration. We defined the roles of each team member so that we can set clear expectations for each team member, allowing us to work more efficiently. These Scrum roles include the Scrum Master, the Product Owner, and the Developer.
Hello, I'm Peter and I'll be presenting the sprint and iterations that we went through to develop our vaccine information system. This is our sprint plan. We split up our product backlog user stories into 3 iterations based on their priority. Each of these iterations lasted 2 weeks. For iteration 1, the main goal is to develop the basic core functions of the system. This creates the foundation of the system and also allows other features that depend on these core functionalities to proceed with development. The user stories in iteration 1 include create a register page, create tickets, allow the VMS to view number of patients assigned to a center, allow the load on the VMS to be updated, and create the automatic restocking system. For iteration 2, the main goal is to develop the important supporting features of the system. These are important features that enhance the basic core functions. We put these features into iteration 2 because they require the basic core functions in iteration 1 to be completed first. The user stories in iteration 2 include assign patients to a nearby center, assign appointments that are scheduled within 3 days, ensure vaccines are used before expiry period, which is 1 week, create restocking notification system, and ensure centers are not overbooked past capacity. For iteration 3, the main goal is to develop any other extra supporting features of the system. These features are put into iteration 3 because although they are important, they are not as important as the features developed in iteration 2. The user stories in iteration 3 include change and cancel appointments, assign patients to the next closest center, check patients' age during registration, prioritize patients based on the current phase, and ensure vaccine administrators get a continuous flow of patients.
My name is Zheng Wu. The topic I'm gonna talk about is the advantage and the possible effects if the project fails. The success and the fails of the project will lead to the different influences impact to the social. For the project successful, the spread of virus will be greatly restrained. It helps to get the object to help people prevent disease from coronavirus. Second, once the people vaccinated, they're able to back to work, study, or activities as usual, which helps to recover the social stability. And also, the successfully launched the project can indirectly accelerate the recovery of economics. On the other hand, once the project fails, the government will need more time and resources to handle the longer period of the pandemic. People may distrust the government, and may lead to panic to new outbreaks. In addition, the domestic economics will be keeping damaged by the virus spread, and small business are facing to the risk of close. Furthermore, the international trading and transportation will be still limited, and this the parts of the advantages and fails. Thanks.